Hi, my name is Tracy Lenz, and I'm a petroleum engineer, and today I wanted to give just a quick 3-minute tip on the difference between net acreage and gross acreage. It does cause a lot of confusion in the mineral space, especially for people who have not had any exposure to this, so let's get into it. So something you might have or you might have seen is a deed. So this is a mineral and royalty conveyance. And then this says $10. That's just saying that it was sold from one person to the other for some amount that was more than this amount. That's not saying it was sold for $10. And then here's where the confusion usually happens. We have this description here of the acreage. So I call this the legal description. When you're trying to figure out how many minerals you own, you might think that you have 320 acres based on the fact that this says tract 1, 320 acres. What this is describing is if you were to put a fence around this tract, it would bound in 320 acres. And let me show you what that looks like on a map. So we're now looking at Dawson County, Section 39 of Block 35, Township 4N of the TMP survey. This is the north half of the section. That is the 320 acres that's mentioned right here. So when we're at the map, we were to put a fence around this acreage, that'd be 320 acres. Now, what's different between how minerals are usually distributed versus how property that we can see, like a house, is distributed. It's usually distributed as an undivided interest. So if you want to think of a divided interest being like a subdivision where each house has its own little plot of land and the owner of that house owns 100% of what's in that little plot of land, that's divided interest. A undivided interest, it kind of operates a little more like stock, where you might have 100 shares of Google, but you don't have, one closet of Google. You don't own 100% of a little piece of Google that's worth 100 shares. You own that percentage of the entire company. And that's how an undivided interest ends up working. When we're looking at this type of deed, it says all of the grantors' right, title, and interest. It doesn't say that they necessarily own 320 acres of interest, just whatever they happen to own from this interest. Do they own 320 acres? Or has this been divided 100 times from, across 100 different siblings and cousins and neighbors? So in order to know how many net acres you own, you either have to go back to the original person who originally was granted the acreage in full. Sometimes it's called going back to patent. When the government first gave this acreage and all of its minerals to the first person, they owned 100% of it. And then throughout the years, it's either been fully transferred to the next person or divided based on the rules of that state and whether or not there was a will or if they died intestate, which is when there wasn't a will. Long story short, it's very unlikely that you own 100% of your minerals unless you know that you own 100% of your minerals. Another way is to take, if you're being paid, and take that interest and back in to how many net acres that would equate to. So just as a simple example, if this well was producing, this Reed well was producing, and it had a unit of 320 acres, but you're only getting paid on half of it, that probably means that you only have 50% net interest in this 320 acres, which would equate to 160 net acres. All right. Please subscribe if you want to see more videos and like this video if you like it.